IXL Section V.11, evaluate integers raised to positive rational exponents. Today what we're going to have is exponents that are fractions. I'm going to show you how to change them to a radical expression. That means an expression that has the radical sign, and how to simplify it the smart and easy way, okay? So I highly recommend that you pay attention because this may help you out a lot. I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of you are not too sure how to do this, and I'm going to show you how you could do it a very simple way. So highly recommend that you pay attention. I'm also going to show you how you could do it on a calculator. All right. So first of all, when you have an exponent that's a fraction and you want to change it to an expression that has a radical sign, all you got to do is imagine that you're tilting the fraction sideways like this to the right. All right, if you let it drop to the right, the A is going to drop here and the B is going to drop here. All right, that's pretty simple. So as you can see, I have an example here. If I want to rewrite that with a radical sign, okay, the 27 goes right here. Now the 2 over the 3, I just tilt it to the right and let it drop. The 2 is going to drop right here, and the 3 is going to drop right here. Okay, so that's step one. Now, before I tell you how to simplify this, let me just say that in Spanish real quick to make sure everybody's with me. Okay, en el IXL de hoy lo que tenemos es exponentes que son fracciones. Okay, primero lo tenemos que cambiar a una expresión con un signo radical, que es este signo aquí, y después le enseño cómo lo simplifican de una manera fácil y rápido, que a lo mejor no he visto antes. Pero de la manera que le voy a enseñar es bien fácil, y también le voy a enseñar cómo se hace en la calculadora, en el iPhone. Ok, así que primero que nada, si tengo un exponente con una fracción, lo puedo cambiar a una expresión con un signo radical, simplemente imagínense que estoy poniendo la fracción de lado. Si lo dejo que caiga a la derecha, la A cae aquí y la letra B aquí. Así que eso es lo que hice aquí. Tengo 27 con un exponente de 2 sobre 3 y lo cambié, lo escribí de esta forma. El 27 con el signo radical. Si dejo que esta fracción caiga para la derecha, el 2 cae aquí y el 3 aquí. Ahora vamos a hablar de cómo simplificar esto. Okay, there's two ways you could think about this problem. A difficult way and an easy way. All right. First, let me tell you what the difficult way would be to think about this problem. The difficult way would be to think about this as first doing the inside and then doing the outside. If you first do the inside, then this is 27 to the second power, which let me do that on my calculator real quick to give you an idea what you get. 1 second. All right, so 27 to the second power, which gives you 729, and then trying to find what the cube root of 729 is. The cube root means what number to the third power equals 729. That's doable, but pretty difficult, all right, for anybody. A smarter way to do it would be like this, all right? So please pay attention to this. A smarter way to do it is to think about it like this. All I did is imagine that I have parentheses around here and here. So I'm going to do what's inside the parentheses first, and at the end do that. This is much easier, and it allows you to do a whole mess of the problems in your mind. Okay, so let me show you what I mean. Okay, first I'm going to get the cube root of 27. The cube root means what number to the third power equals 27. The cube root of 27 is 3. Because 3 times 3 times 3 equals 27. 3 times 3 is 9, and 9 times 3 is 27. All right, so when I do it this way, this part I could do in my mind. The cube root of 27 is 3, and now I do this part, 3 to the second power, and that's my answer. My answer is 9. So again, the fast way of doing this, first of all, rewrite it correctly, and then for most of these, if you just look at it like this, you're going to do this part first. Get the cube root or whatever number is here. Get the root of the of the number that you got underneath the radical sign first. And then after you're done with that, you deal with this exponent. Believe it or not, you get the same answer both ways. If I would have done 27 to the second power, which is 729, and then get the cube root of 729, the answer is also 9. So both methods give you the same answer, but the method I just taught you is much easier and quicker because it allows you to deal with smaller numbers that are easier to handle. Okay, now let me tell you how to do this on your iPhone. It should be the same process if you just have a regular calculator. Okay? By the way, let me explain this in Spanish real quick. En español, la manera más rápida de hacer esto, hay dos maneras. La primera manera, primero déjame explicar la manera difícil o más difícil. La manera difícil sería primero hacer 27 a la 2. Así que hacer 27 por 27, que te daría 729. Y después que hagan eso, coger la raíz cúbica de 729, ¿ok? Que sería 9, ¿ok? La raíz cúbica quiere decir qué número a la 3 te da el número que tiene aquí. Así que qué número a la 3 te daría 729. Una manera más fácil y más rápido sería, en lugar de hacer 27 a la 2 primero, pensar que hay paréntesis alrededor de la raíz cúbica de 27, como lo escribí aquí, y hacer esta parte primero. Eso no deja usar números más chiquitos, que son más fácil usar, y muchos de los problemas lo podemos hacer en la mente si lo hacemos de esta manera. Porque la raíz cúbica de 27 es más fácil coger, es 3, porque 3 a la 3 te da 27. Así que la raíz cúbica de 27 es 3 y ahora hago este exponente, así que 3 a la 2 y eso me da mi respuesta final que es 9. Y ahora voy a decir cómo hacerlo en la calculadora. Okay, in your calculator, I want you to look at, there's a couple buttons I want to point out, all right? First of all, this button gets the square root, which we're not using in this problem, but this button right here gets to the square root. Oh, by the way, before I even say this, on your iPhone, in case you don't know, when you go to your calculator, you got to turn it sideways, turn your phone sideways in order to see all these buttons. So in your iPhone calculator, if you turn it sideways, you'll see all these buttons. Si están usando la calculadora en el iPhone, lo tienen que poner de lado para que aparezcan todos estos botones. Okay, lo tienen que poner la calculadora y el teléfono de lado para ver estos botones. Okay, so this button gets the square root, which we're not using in this problem, okay? That's why it has a 2 in the index right there. Este botón coge la raíz cuadrada, que no lo estamos usando en este problema, pero por eso es que tiene un 2 ahí. This button right here gets the cube root. That's why it has a 3 right there in the index. Este botón coge la raíz cúbica, por eso tiene el número 3 ahí. You could use that on this problem. Se puede usar en este problema. So in this problem, what you could have done is in your calculator, first enter 27, then hit the cube root button, and then hit the square button, which is right here. The square button means to the second power. Okay? Así que lo podían haber hecho 27 en la calculadora, después le dan a este botón para coger la raíz cúbica y después le dan a este botón para cuadrarlo. Okay, but let me show you some better buttons that work no matter what numbers they give you, okay? So these are the important ones, the most important ones. Okay, déjame enseñarle cuáles son los botones para usar con cualquier número que le den, okay? So first of all, look at this button right here. This button allows me to put whatever root I want. I could have gotten the 5th root, the 6th root, the 99th root, whatever. Okay, so the way I would have done it, okay, let's just pretend. I don't want you to do this, we're just pretending. Let's say you had this crazy problem here. I don't even know what this would give you, but all right, let's say you had that. The 99th root of 27. Okay, in your calculator, you would put 27, then you hit this button right here, and then you put 99 equals, and that would give you the 99th root of 27. I'm sure a lot of you are doing it to see what you even get. I'm going to do it myself. Let's see what happens. So 27, that root button, and then hit 99 equals. All right, you actually do get an answer. All right, so I'll say it again. With this button, it allows you to put whatever root you want. Because you're going to have different numbers, not just the square root and not just the cube root in today's IXL. So this button, you're going to need it if you want it. Okay, so if I wanted to get the 99th root of 27, I would hit 27, then hit this button, and then you enter what root do you want. So then I would put 99 and then hit equals. Okay, así que puse este problema ridículo para hacer el punto que quiero hacer. Ok, así que vamos a decir que quiero coger la raíz 99 de 27. Ok, así que en la calculadora primero pongo el 27, después le doy a este botón y después el número que pongo es la raíz que tú quieres que la calculadora coja de este número. Que en este caso puse 99, así que pondría 99 y al final le tiene que dar a este botón para igual a, para coger la respuesta. Así que 27, este botón y 99 igual a. Okay, and then let me show you one last button, which is this one right here. This button right here allows you to get to put whatever exponent you want. All right, it allows you to put whatever exponent you want. So, for example, let's say I wanted to do, I don't know, let's say 27 to the 99th power. Okay, instead of doing 27 times 27 times 27 times 27 times 27, a total of 99 times, which would be idiotic, you would do 27 times, no, wait, my bad, erase that, not the last times. You would do 27, then you just hit this button, then you enter 99 equals, and that would give you the answer of 27 to the 99th power. Let's all try that. Again, 27, then you hit this button. Now you tell it what exponent do you want to put, 99, so you put equals, and you get some crazy number there that I won't even mention. Alright, así que este botón es para poner cualquier exponente que uno quiere, que uno quiera, ¿ok? Así que primero ponen 27, si quiero hacer 27 a la 99, ¿ok? Para hacer un ejemplo exagerado, ¿ok? Así que primero pongo 27, después le doy a este botón y después pongo el exponente, así que 99. Y al final le tiene que dar igual a, y eso te da la respuesta. Así que 27, este botón, 99, igual a. All right, let me just try one thing real quick. Okay. All right, let's move on to some more examples, okay? So, all right, so our first example right here is very simple. The cube root of 27. When I rewrite it, it means this. So that means what number to the third power equals 27? The answer would be 3. Because 3 times 3 times 3 is 27. If I wanted to do it on my calculator, I would put 27, and you could either hit this button, which gives you the cube root automatically, or you could hit this button and then hit the number 3 and then hit equals, and it'll give you the answer. So technically, this IXL could be done entirely on calculator. And how many of you are going to be too lazy to even do that? That's pretty sad if you're too lazy to even do something that could be done entirely on your calculator. All right, but that just goes to show that some of you guys are lazy and won't do anything no matter how easy it is. What does that say about you? What does that say about your future? Not good if you ask me. Okay, like I've always said though, I highly recommend to do, for you guys that are really trying to learn, do as much as possible without the calculator. Most of these you could do without the calculator. All right, so try your best to do as many as possible without the calculator. Only use the calculator when necessary. Ok, traten lo mejor posible no usar la calculadora, solamente usarlo cuando es necesario. Así van a aprender mucho más. Con la calculadora es muy poco lo que van a aprender. Pero ¿cuántos de ustedes aunque se puede hacer esta tarea completamente con la calculadora, ¿cuántos de ustedes no lo van a hacer porque son tan vagos que nunca hacen nada? ¿Y qué creen que va a ser el futuro de ustedes que son tan vagos, que no quieren hacer nada? Okay, so look at this one. 49 to the 1/2 power, that means, again, when you tilt it, the 1 is here. But listen, when it's a 1 here, you don't write it. It stays invisible. And when it's a 2 here, you also don't write it. It stays invisible because it's understood that when you don't write nothing, it's the same as having a 1 here and a 2 here. So that just means get the square root of 49. Whenever you see a number to the 1/2 power, that just means get the square root. So that's an easy one. It's 7. Okay? Así que el 1 aquí, el 2 aquí, pero no se escriben. Cuando hay un exponente de 1, no se escribe porque he entendido que quiere decir igual que si hubiera un 1 aquí, porque cualquier número a la 1 te da el mismo número. Y también para la raíz cuadrada, si uno no escribe un número aquí, es entendido que hay un 2 invisible aquí. Ok, así que la raíz cuadrada de 49 es 7. Ese es fácil. All right, this one's another easy one. I'm going to keep writing this just to make sure that you get it stuck in your brain. That's how you tilt the fraction and it becomes that. But this just means get the cube root of 8, which is 2, because 2 to the 3rd power is 8. Here's another easy one. When I tilt the fraction, it becomes that. But again, when it's a 1 and a 2, you don't write those. What's the square root of 1? 1, because 1 to the 2nd power equals 1. Those are all easy. Give me one moment. Okay. Over here, simplify 16 to the 1/2 power. Again, when you see to the 1/2 power, that means get the square root. All right, so that means this, which means just this. So the square root of 16 is 4. All right, now here we have a more interesting one. On this one, it's okay to use a calculator. All right, so look, first of all, let's rewrite it using a radical sign. All right, so when I rewrite it, I got that. Now let's use my method that I said. Well, it's not my method. I didn't come up with it. But let's use the method that I told you that makes this way easier. All right, which is to do it like this. Think about this part first and do this part last, okay? Vamos a hacerlo de la manera que yo dije que es más fácil. So what's the 4th root of 16? What number to the 4th power equals 16? All right, the answer is going to be 2. 2 to the 4th power equals 16. Okay, la cuarta raíz de 16 es 2, porque 2 a la 4 te da 16. If you didn't know that, you could have used a calculator, okay? Although by the way, when I said use a calculator, I meant for the 7th exponent. I didn't mean for the 4th, to get the 4th root. But whatever, you could use it for that as well. It's a little weak, but whatever. If you want to use it, that's fine. All right, the way you could have done it with a calculator is first you would enter 16 into the calculator, then you hit this button, then you enter the 4 to tell the calculator what number do you want to put here. So you would enter the 4 and then you hit equals to, and that would give you 2. Okay, now to do 2 to the 7th power, you should already have a 2 in your calculator. So now just hit this button right here, which allows you to tell the calculator what exponent you want to put. So hit number 7 and then hit equals to, and that'll give you your answer. 2 to the 7th power, let me do it. Whoops. All right, 2 to the 7th equals 128. Let me say that in Spanish. Así que en español, ok, a la vez que tienen esto, ok, sería preferible si hagan la cuarta raíz de 16 en la mente o sin calculadora, ok, que sería 2. Pero si no lo saben o no saben cómo hacer eso, ¿Ok? Lo pueden hacer en la calculadora poniendo primero 16 en la calculadora. Después le dan a este botón aquí y después ponen el número que quieren que vaya aquí, que en este caso sería 4. Y le dan igual a y le debe dar 2. Ahora para hacer 2 a la 7, ya deben tener el 2 en la calculadora, así que le tienen que dar a este botón aquí, que te deja poner cualquier exponente que quiera. Así que pones 7 igual a y te da la respuesta que es 128. All right, let's look at the next example right here. It's another easy one. When I rewrite it, it's going to be the cube root of negative 27. The 1 is here. All right, so remember that when there's a 1 here, you don't need to write it. So it's basically the cube root of negative 27. Okay, you could only get the, like in order to get the root of a negative number, this number has to be odd. That's the only way it works, right? Hopefully you realize why, okay? All right, so look, to get the cube root of negative 27, it has to be negative 3, because negative 3 to the third power equals negative 27. Negative 3 to the third power equals negative 27. If you don't see that, negative 3 all right, so negative 3 times negative 3 is positive 9, and positive 9 times negative 3 is negative 27. So negative 3 to the third power, well, I wrote that wrong actually. I should have written it like that. Negative 3 to the third power equals negative 27. Así que la raíz cúbica de negativo 27 es negativo 3. Solamente se le puede coger solamente se le puede coger la raíz de un número negativo con un número aquí que no sea un número par, que sea, creo que se dice impar. Ok, en inglés tiene que ser un número odd. 3, 5, 7, 9, etc. Ok. All right, so let's go to the next slide. All right, you know what? Just in case, let me put that picture of the calculator in the following slide as well. All right. Okay. All right, so let's look at the first one. We got to get the cube root of negative 64. So again, when you rewrite it, the 3 goes here. The 1 is here, but it's invisible. So it's going to be the cube root of negative 64. All right, so if you don't know, it's going to be, if you don't know, you could use your calculator. All right, but the answer is going to be negative 4. Okay, again, the cube root means what number to the third power equals negative 64. Negative 4 to the third power equals negative 64, because negative 4 times negative 4 gives you positive 16, and positive 16 times another negative 4, this thing is messing up, will give you negative 64. All right, and you could have done it on your calculator by entering negative 64 and then just hitting the cube root button, because this one's a simple one. All right, let's look at the next one. Negative 1 to the 2 over 3 power. So if I rewrite that, all right, it would be like this. So, sorry guys, technical difficulties here. All right, so if I think about it this way, What's the cube root of negative 1? Actually, this one is worth paying attention to. What's the cube root of negative 1? Negative 1. Because negative 1 to the third power equals negative 1. And then, what's negative 1 to the second power? Positive 1. So the answer on this one is positive 1. Again, what's the cube root of negative 1? Negative 1. And what's negative 1 to the second power? Positive 1. ¿Qué es la raíz cúbica de negativo 1? Negativo 1. ¿Y qué es negativo 1 a la 2? Positivo 1. I already explained how to do it on your calculator. So, I think it's easy to understand, but if some of you don't get it, you could still use a calculator to get the answer. All right, let's look at the next one. 81 to the 3/4 power. I'll use this one again to go over the calculator process again, if anybody needs it, all right? So first of all, rewrite it like this. All right? Next step is think about it the way that I said is easier to do it, which would be like this. First get the fourth root of 81, and whatever you get from that, you do it to the third power. All right? So first of all, listen, if you don't know what the fourth root of 81 is and you're trying to do it without a calculator, I would take a guess, like, is it 2? Is it 3? Is it 4? All right? I would try one of those numbers, and chances are it's going to be one of those numbers. All right? So let me go over the process again in your calculator of what to do. Déjame decir el proceso otra vez de cómo hacer esto en la calculadora. All right, so first I would enter 81 into the calculator. Then hit this button. This button will allow you to put whatever number you want for the index that goes right here. So once you hit that button, you got to tell the calculator what number do you want to put right there. I want to put the number 4. So enter the number 4. And then hit equals to. And that'll tell you what the fourth root of 81 is. And you should see that it's 3. Okay, so once you have that, now you just got to do 3 to the third power. Okay, the smart way, you should be able to do 3 to the third power without a calculator. If you need a calculator to do 3 to the third power, that's a very bad sign. Very bad sign. All right? But for the people that need it, the way I would use a calculator to do that is you should already have the number 3 right here in your calculator. Okay, so now just hit this button right here, which allows you to put whatever exponent you want, and then enter the number 3 and hit equals, and it'll give you 27, which is our answer. You could have also hit this button to cube it, but whatever, this button works every time. Ok, así que en la calculadora pueden hacer 81 y para coger la cuarto raíz de 81, primero se pone 81, después se da este botón que te deja poner cualquier raíz que quiera. Le doy el 4 para decirle a la calculadora que la raíz que quiero es la cuarto raíz. Le doy igual a para que me dé el resultado y te debe dar 3. Y ahora quiero poner un exponente de 3 a este 3. Así que le doy a este botón que te deja poner cualquier exponente que quiera y le digo a la calculadora que quiero un exponente de 3 y le doy a igual a y te da 27. También podía haber usado este botón para el exponente de 3, pero este botón trabaja para cualquier exponente. All right, let me pick up the pace because I'm going pretty slow with these examples. All right, so again, here, rewrite it, and you're going to have this. You're going to have that, okay? So do it my way, which is first think about it this way. Think about it like this. So the cube root of -8 is -2. And then -2 to the second power is +4, and that's my answer here. I did that without a calculator. You should try to do that as well. Let's do this one. I rewrite it, and I'm going to get the fifth root of -32 to the second power. Okay, so again, the smart way to do it is like this. First get the fifth root of -32. This one comes up a lot, like the fifth root of 32, so you should memorize it. The fifth root of 32 is 2, and the fifth root of -32 is going to be -2. And then negative 2 to the second power equals positive 4. All right, over here, I got to get the sixth root of 64 to the fifth power. All right, this one you should definitely use a calculator for all of it, probably, most of you. So first, get the sixth root of 64. All right, so when I do that in my calculator, I get 2, and then I'm going to do 2 to the fifth power, all right, which is going to give you 32. So this concept of 2 to the fifth power is 32 comes up a lot. Because here, when we had to get the fifth root of 32, I said it was 2. So that's one that you should memorize because it comes up a lot. Here we are again, something similar. All right, so let's do this example. So I got to get the fifth root of 32 to the second power. So first, let's get the fifth root of 32, again with that same concept. So the fifth root of 32 is 2, and 2 to the second power is 4. So notice how if you memorize that 2 to the fifth power is 32, it allows you to do all three of these problems without a calculator. Look, and the next one also. The next one also involves that. So you should memorize 2 to the fifth power is 32 because that one comes up a lot, okay? Deben memorizar que 2 a la 5 es 32 porque está saliendo en estos 4 ejemplos. Y con saber que 2 a la 5 es 32, me deja hacer eso sin calculadora. All right, so let's look at this one. When I rewrite it, I'm getting the fifth root of negative 32 to the fourth power. All right, so let's do this part first. The fifth root of negative 32 is negative 2. So now I got negative 2 to the fourth power, and that's going to give you positive 16. All right, we're almost done with this section, or maybe not. All right, so let me try to do some of these examples quickly. So when I rewrite this one, I'll have this. All right, so I'm going to do this part first. The cube root of 64 is 4. And 4 to the second power is 16. So that's how you would do it without a calculator, mental math. All right, this one I rewrite it, and I got the cube root of 8 to the second power. So let's do this part first. The cube root of 8 is 2. And 2 to the second power is 4. And that's my answer for this one, all right, 4. All right, this one right here, I rewrite it, and I got the fourth root of 16 to the third power. Let's do this part first, the fourth root of 16. The fourth root of 16 is 2. And 2 to the third power is 8. All right, let's do this one. I rewrite it, and I'm going to have the fourth root of 256 to the fifth power. All right, so first, let's do this part, the fourth root of 256. And I got a good guess as to what it is, but let me use the calculator to be sure. So 256, and I'm going to get the fourth root. And it gives me 4. So now I got to do 4 to the fifth power. All right. So 4 to the fifth power is going to give me 1024. All right, so that's my answer. Okay, guys, for the sake of time, I'm gonna conclude this lesson there because they're all the same thing, and I want to do another section in today's class as well. All right, so for the sake of time, that's gonna be it for the examples for V11, and there should be another lesson after this one.